Please welcome digital genius and presenting are Mikhail Nomov and Dmitry Aksenov.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Mikhail. This is Dmitry from Digital Genius.
Hi.
And we are building artificial intelligence technology that automates conversations between big brands and their consumers. Why? Well, because we've all been there, right? On the way to the airport when we realized that we forgot to activate our global roaming. So we take out our phone, and we call, and we wait. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And if we're lucky, 15 minutes later, a call center agent will pick up the phone and will tell us that we're not eligible for roaming to begin with. Hugely frustrating experience for us as consumers and highly inefficient for the brand. And it's happening everywhere. Telcos, airlines, banks, you name it. And it's actually a really big problem. Every single day, millions of dollars are being spent in the call center simply to answer repetitive questions, thousands of times over and over again. In other words, speaking with customers is really expensive. So that's why we built Digital Genius, a conversation automation platform for the enterprise. With our technology, having a conversation and activating your global roaming should be as easy as texting your mom. Hey mom, going to London for a week, please make sure my phone works. Done. It's a frictionless experience, it's an ongoing conversation, and it's available through multiple communication channels, notably SMS, the most intimate way for a brand to talk to consumer, which is highly underutilized. Let's take a look at how it feels. Let's switch to the demo. So Dmitry here is using Digital Genius, which is saved as a contact on his phone, and he says, hey, it's there to help. He says he's going to London for a week, and he wants to make sure that his phone works. He doesn't say things like activate global roaming or am I eligible. The system's intelligent enough to understand that that's what he's looking for. With travel, his intention is to make sure his phone works. So he says, go for it. It's not a yes or a no. It's actually a natural way to say that command. The system understands this and activates his roaming. He can go a bit further and have some fun with it and say, will it burn a hole in my pocket? Which is not a typical way of saying, is roaming expensive? The system will understand this phrasing and provide the response. But more so, it'll provide the response relative to the roaming, because you can ask pricing questions about many things, but it understands because it's carrying the conversation through a context. And it's telling him that it's $24.99, which is what it costs his account to do so. It might be different for me or for you. So then he gets really creative and says, hey, that's highway robbery. And in this case, the question and the phrase is just too difficult for the system to interpret and understand. So this is where we have a seamless transition handoff to a live person within the call center. In this case, it's someone like Ariana who says, hey, I'm here to help you. What would you like to look at a different plan? This is really important because when it comes to AI and well-engineered NLP, it's very important that it's frictionless and seamless and actually comfortable. We all hate IVRs. We all hate robots that don't know and can't answer us. And that's why we have a seamless transition. Let's go back to the slides, take a deeper look. So, the part of the puzzle is that no matter how you phrase this question, the answer will come up for you, all the way up to the point when the system doesn't understand, in which case we have the seamless transition to a chat with a live person. And here's how it works. Our team of NLP engineers have built an algorithm based on neural networks, and that was trained with hours of historical chat records, which actually allows the system to understand and classify different questions and different commands. For example, if you're asking what color does a device come in, the system understands that you're asking about a certain product parameter and routes that question to the appropriate narrow AI module, which contains knowledge and the ability to answer that specific question, and sends you back the answer. If you're asking for a definition, such as what is an overdraft certificate, the system will understand and route it to the definition module, allowing you to get the answer to your question. Through this process, we're able to have back and forth conversations that are ongoing. So, what have we done with this technology? Well, we've deployed it at some of the biggest companies in the world, like Unilever, BMW, a tier 1 bank, and a few others. How? BMW used Digital Genius to launch their electric vehicles. When they came out with the i3 and the i8, they wanted to educate consumers about what it is and how it works. It was their first electric vehicle. So they embedded our tech in all of their television advertisements in the UK in form of a short code, allowing any consumer that's watching TV and sees a commercial to text a short code with any question or phrase that they want to talk about. Now, it's cool when you can answer basic questions like what color does it come in and how much does it cost, but it gets really exciting when our technology can actually take the person through a conversion channel, help them schedule a test drive, help them schedule a dealership visit, and on the back end, allow BMW to understand how price-sensitive or tech-savvy that consumer is based on the language that they're using. So this is live. This actually works right now. In the case of Unilever, we powered over 1 million conversations through a recipe recommendation engine. So you come home, you text whatever ingredients you have in your fridge, and before you know it, it sends you recipes and a step-by-step instructions of how to prepare the meal. Now, That's also cool, but what's cooler is the fact that it knows that your wife is vegetarian, that you're allergic to shellfish, and over time creates a much more personalized experience between you and this brand. And the cool thing is, Unilever is not a brand that you would typically speak with, right? You don't just pick up the phone and call Unilever, which is why we're using Digital Genius to create a new space for big brands to engage with consumers. It's not quite search, it's not quite talking to a live person, but it's the first space where big brands can have meaningful, ongoing, automated conversations with consumers. And as of today, we're deploying Digital Genius as a service to big brands that want to automate conversations. Our deployment cycle is very simple. We have a deployment fee, which then converts to an ongoing software licensing fee. We believe that this technology can be used to automate meaningful conversations between these big brands and millions of consumers that are currently not using this type of channel. And this is the way we're moving forward. Thank you.
All right. Great presentation. Judges.
You talked about when you were bringing up a new vertical, training on chat data. Can you talk a little bit more about onboarding a client within a new vertical and how that works?
Sure, absolutely. So initially, we'll go in and we'll have a conversation with typically a buy-in from the business unit. So if it's customer service automation within a major telco, there will be an SVP who's responsible for deploying new types of technologies, mobile type technologies, and there's also going to be a senior level sponsor of this initiative. So we go in there, we have the meeting, and as we're having the meeting, it becomes apparent what kind of data they want to conversationalize. So there's a lot of data, a lot of these historical chats that are not being used, and all the values locked up. So we take all that data in-house, and we conversationalize it. So we ingest it, we process it, and then we wrap it in linguistic structures that are then able to be utilized to have conversations through different channels. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, this technology can be used across multiple verticals, across multiple industries. One bank, for example, offered us 17 opportunities to use this technology within their business. We decided to focus on customer service, focus on conversational recommendation engine initially, and then over time we will expand it to different verticals and to different industries.
Take one more minute to just explain the onboarding process. So you show up and you say, give us a script of all of the conversations that you've had. How long does it take you to process? What are you actually doing? Give us a little bit more color there.
Yeah, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to do a typical deployment for us. And what that entails is us taking a lot of the data, whether it's historical chat or even some marketing language or structured data around certain devices like how fast is a BMW, you know, how does it work? And then we take this information in-house and we extract lots of the stuff that can be extracted automatically. And then for the parts that can't be extracted automatically, we have a team of NLP engineers and linguists that are transforming this data and plugging it into the platform. So essentially what we have is an internal platform that we've built that allows linguists to deploy these conversational tools without writing any code. So there's not actually code involved. It's a graphical visual interface that our linguists can use internally to plug that data in or automatically ingest it.
Yeah, there is a lot of data which is applicable for every customer, so we are not starting from scratch, we are starting from a very significant base. So for example, this question classification module, it's trained on a large data set and it can understand questions regardless of a specific customer. So we only need to work with a very specific data when we are onboarding a new
What about the conversational side? I mean, the examples that you showed were users using very common kinds of phrases and language. Where are you getting that training?
So we built, okay, so those libraries are built in. So the beauty of this technology is you can't just launch this like off the shelf immediately. Like a competitor can't come in and all of a sudden do this. We've developed these modules over time by co-creating them with a lot of our enterprise partners in essentially in closed deployments. So we were working with a major telco to ingest this data from them, and as soon as that module is complete, it's been trained to understand anything that's related to telco. We can then redeploy it and resell it to other telcos out there.
There is super exciting research going on in our company, and to understand questions which are not trivial, which are not usual, we are building well, we're ignoring words and we're judging the question by the meaning. And it's very cool research that is happening that allows us to understand all the different ways to ask the same question.
I think this is really interesting. Most companies, most good companies, also use customer service as a way to get consumer intelligence.
Yep.
And to understand more about that customer, what they should be doing differently, what their longer-term needs are going to be. So how are you dealing with that part of it as you replace the human, right, who may be feeding some of this data into a larger system? What are you doing to allow people to continue using it for business intelligence?
It's super important. So a lot of these conversations, they take place, and there's a lot of value that needs to be unlocked. So in the case of BMW, we allowed the client to select the parameters that they want to measure about each customer they're speaking with. So they chose tech savvy, price sensitive, openness to innovation, and a number of other parameters. And we are then able to extract scores on each parameter from the conversation that's taking place. And it's not just as simple as how many pricing questions did the person ask. That's too simple, that's not accurate. There's certain phraseologies and there's different ways of asking a pricing question and where it leads, and that's all built in. So I showed a picture of the little tachometer that we use in our internal analytics platform that adjusts itself over time. So if you're asking all these techie questions to BMW, it rates you higher on the tech savviness factor, and it adjusts the way it responds to you. So if you're asking very techie questions, you're likely to want techie answers in response. So we collect all that data and we provide it back to the client through an analytics interface.
Can you talk a little bit about the team?
Yeah.
Well, we have an amazing team of engineers. They're based, we have 2 offices, London and New York. Most of our team are engineers and LPAI engineers. Myself, I was building robots since I was 7 years old. I was building neural networks by the age of 14, and that's how I got into this business. So engineering is at the core of our company, and we're very proud with the people we have both in London and in New York.
We have 20 people in the company right now, and we've pretty much trapped through this.
That was a good translation. It was good.
Yeah. When I stand next to Dmitry, I'm just so humbled because, I mean, this is someone that left Russia at the age of 14, managed to convince his parents to let him move to London, England, where he saw the advancement of technology and robotics is much better than it was back home. And since then, he's been like building this stuff and decided to commercialize his passion when he was bored out of his mind in college. So that's the story. And we initially started, I have 10 seconds to tell you, but we initially started automating conversations for coffee shops and realized the market's just way too small. So we went after the enterprise, and the first client was BMW. And since then, more clients came to us. We deployed these technologies and allowed to use that revenue to build the internal platform, which we're now running on.
All right, we're out of time. Fantastic presentation. Great job.